like there's no oversight. This is the wild, wild west with this crap.
The Vanguard's theory about the Minnect thing is that it's like a money laundering scheme.
Well, that makes sense.
100% is.
I mean, it sure sounds like it would be easy to do money laundering through it. But who knows?
The Vanguard will be there, sir.
I am also really excited to hear this shout out that we may have received from the Majority Report, Gavin.
Yeah, super excited about this one as well. Speaking of the Majority Report, doing so much great work over there. Sam and Emma absolutely kicking ass as always with the interviews, the super substantive content, but they still find time, to dip their toes into a little bit of drama, into a little bit of good old roasting, this time of Mr. Patrick Bet David, who of course employs Anna Kasparian, not just on the show Her Take, Valuetainment Production, but also via Minnect, where Anna can be found alongside such villains as Patrick Bet David himself and Adam Sosnick, who famously threw a tampon at Anna Kasparian live on a Valuetainment production. We've been through it before, but it seems like Sam and Emma might have either just found out about this or just decided to cover it because it came up in this clip about PBD.
So let's play.
Would be instead of dude, it was his name.
You know what Israel? You want to know what Israel needs?
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, you know what Israel needs? I'm going to tell you what Israel needs.
A big brother?
No, let me tell you what Israel needs. Oh my God, they need this. If they have the brass to do it. Are you ready?
Okay.
Oh my
This
God.
is going to be the craziest idea I'm going to put out there. And please, if you support it, cut it, clip it, put it on X, and let's see what people
Pause
say
it
about
for 1 second. I just want to say that you can actually have a 1-to-1 with Patrick Bet David on the Minnect. And I saw this from watching a clip from Silly and Billy. What is the Vanguard? Vanguard. I was watching the Vanguard, and I found this out from them. You can actually get a one-on-one with Patrick.
And it's funny that I feel like Silly and Billy is almost at this point a more, like a more recognizable name for us than the actual name of our show, The Vanguard, which is so funny, obviously, because that's the name that Cenk Uygur called us, trying to roast us, trying to make fun of us. I think it was in the same speech where he called us like pimples on his ass cheeks or something like that. Either way, yeah, Silly and Billy really has caught on. And shout out to Sam for just, I guess, casually watching The Vanguard. That's fucking crazy to think about.
We always tell you guys, this is the show the stars are watching. They can't help themselves. Everybody loves it. When you cover people who are known and they don't get a lot of coverage, right? It's not like when Sam logs on to E! News, he's seeing, hey, Sam had this for breakfast this morning, in Gowanus, Brooklyn. Like, no. But when he tunes into The Vanguard, occasionally he'll be like, hey, you know what? That's Sam Cedar. He made a great point. And we've previously talked to Sam Cedar about Patrick Bet David. He explained that the entire model for PBD's show was to be a lost leader. So he would have all of these really expensive guests and he would pay them a fortune, more than he would ever make back on his podcast. But it was great promotion for these scams that he's running, like Minnect, like for whatever business ventures he started.
The cigar lounge, his pyramid scheme that he ran at the beginning of his career, all of that kind of stuff. And now this is just like a further extension of that. It's just another way for him to milk the cow. And yeah, it just reeks of insane money laundering, like we were mentioning. Yep, 100%. And I think that, Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that MLM that he started might still be around. I don't even know if it's something that he used to do. He might still have that. But either way, you want to find out real quick?
Yep, absolutely. PHP agency, which I believe does still exist. Yep. So still in business over here. Oh, 100% it's still in business. In fact, there's one in Kansas City, Missouri.
What?
Yeah. So
we got to show up to get some insurance or whatever the fuck. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a straight up scam too. As I said, PBD is undeniably an incredibly successful scam artist. That is one thing you cannot take away from him. And it was very enlightening when Sam basically said that on our show, that like the whole reason why he does his actual show, the PBD show, the Valuetainment show, whatever, is just a way to, market those companies, market those scams, get more people entwined in that spider's web. And it's really sad because most of the people being taken advantage of, they don't know any better. A lot of them probably are trying to actually, get connected with like inspirational entrepreneurs or whatever the fuck, PBD and his friends sell themselves as. So it is really unfortunate. In addition to the more, suspicious, shady, potential for money laundering, any of the actual normal people that have the kind of money to spend on this stuff, to the extent that a normal person can have that kind of money, right? It's because they don't know any better. They're being taken advantage of. Ultimately, they're really just not educated enough or not intelligent enough to realize what's happening, and that no, they're not going to ascend to some new level of their career by signing up for PBD's exclusive membership cigar lounge, where there's a once a year, networking event or whatever the fuck.
Or they're just really lonely and they're desperate for somebody to connect with, and they've built up this parasocial relationship with them. Imagine doing that, but you have to imagine that PBD has stands throughout the world, that there's enough people that watch him. I'm sure there are dudes that believe he has the key to the universe within him. You know what I mean? And what if you did? You save up all this money and you start texting with PBD, or you're like, oh, I can't afford PBD, so I'm going to text with Vincent Oshana, or I'm going to text with Adam Sosnick, or Lindy Lee, or I'm going to text with Anna Kasparian or Nick Fuentes. Like, it's absolutely pathetic. It's totally predatory. And I think you're either going to deal with young people who are blowing their fortune or going into tons of debt. And then you're going to have old people who are also blowing their fortune and or going into tons of debt. And the only other people would be if you're doing something shady. We've talked about how the other shady maneuver is like, okay, I'm not going to pay you to talk about this on your show. And it's not just PBD. It could be Nick Fuentes, could be Anna Kasparian, could be any of the other numbers of folks that are on here. I'm not going to pay you to talk about this. But if you want to keep having me book $50,000 meetings with you, you're going to continue to talk about what I want you to talk about.
Yep, 100%. So they're going to analyze this a bit more, but let's hear that one more time.
Actually have a one-to-one with Patrick Bet David on Minnect, and I saw this from watching a clip from Silly and Billy. What is the Vanguard? Vanguard. I was watching the Vanguard, and I found this out from them. You can actually get a one-on-one with Patrick Bet David, where he can give you advice, and like he's about to drop an incredible piece of advice for Israel here. He can give you this piece of advice. This type of advice for only $800 a minute.
Oh my God. A minute? What a deal.
So let's make
Probably
sure
charge Israel more.
Let's time this to see how long it would take for him to articulate this quality of an idea.
But it's rare to see somebody come up with something on the fly like this, like an entrepreneur just have this kernel of an idea. Yeah, I mean, to see somebody work in this way on camera, it's
well,
like,
I feel like he's formulated this.
No, he came up with it just now. I mean, at the very least, that's how he's reacting.
But that's what I'm saying. We need more business people in politics. This is just clearly what.
Yeah.
All right, go back. Let's play.
I'm going to tell you what Israel needs.
A big brother?
No.
And I definitely urge you guys to go watch the entirety of this segment. Is PBD okay? Because it's really funny. But let's get to the other timestamp where yours truly gets brought up, Silly and Billy. Let's take a look over here, because that was in the published clip. This is in the unlisted fun half. So, we were able to honor this as well, thanks to friend of the show, Hank, director of the upcoming documentary Tell the Truth, Jank. He sent this our way, so really appreciate you, Hank. But yeah, let's also take a listen to this, getting another mention on the Majority Report. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Now I get it. We should do the roast.
Right, do the roast.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but Gino texted me that said there's a minimum for Minnect, though. So it's a 15-minute minimum, which makes it $12K.
No, that is like what we're talking about, all this gambling and crypto stuff on the internet. Where is this money coming from? Who's it coming from? Like, there's no oversight. This is the wild, wild west with this crap.
The Vanguard's theory about the Minnect thing is that it's like a money laundering scheme.
Well, that makes sense.
100% is.
I mean, it sure sounds like it would be easy to do money laundering through it. But who knows? But I will say it ties in the underlying business that he has now. He used to do that that insurance company where the main thing they would sell would be membership into a company that sells insurance.
Right.
But now what he does, apparently, what I was told was that it's like business consulting. And so this is an extension of that consulting.
Just the head of the
business.
Sinaloa cartel is spending $15K to hang out with him for a
Well, I
minute
mean, what-
to launder some
Like
money.
what? Like I don't know
That's
how
exactly
that would work.
it.
No,
That's
this is
it.
it's a really important service where you can give consulting to people, and I would just like to announce at patreon.com/Left Reckoning a new tier called Matt Lecht, and you can join it for $15 a month,
Lecknecht.
and you can email me.
Lecticect?
Well, Lecknecht.
Wouldn't it be lecticect?
Lecknecht.
Lecknecht.
Lecticect.
And if you pause it, it's not impossible that the lane that PBD is trying to get into does exist. I remember when I was back in my startup phase, right? When I was going to business school back in the day, and I was like constantly trying to figure out how to not be broke for the rest of my life. And I remember learning about this guy, Joshua Waitzkin, who was a chess phenom. People in chat might know about him because he was the basis for the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. His dad wrote that book and it became a movie. But anyway, he grows up and he's like a chess champion, and he does like this like push competition shit, and he's like really well known in the like academia circles. And so all these rich stockbroker kind of guys will just pay him like $100,000 to hang out with him and like shoot the shit, and he's like supposed to give them advice and feedback. But really, these guys just don't know how to spend their money. They don't have any friends, and they think he's like prestigious and cool because he was a chess champion. He's not really giving them any good advice, I would imagine. How could you possibly do that hanging out with the guy for an hour or two? But there is that real industry. And I imagine at the very least that kind of gives them cover with the government to be like, see, that's what we're doing. See, look at all of these people that are doing this in a legal way. And then PBD, being the conniving bastard that he is like, how do I turn it into an even more profitable scam?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. It is legal.
Yeah,
like it's not illegal. It's just super sketchy. And we're theorizing that if you wanted to pay someone a large sum of money, it would be really easy to this way. Because I mean, it's a 15-minute minimum, $800 a minute. That's for PBD. Some of them are a little bit less. I think we found out Nick Fuentes was like $500 a minute. But still, again, not the kind of money that normal people can afford whatsoever. And hell, if you just left that Zoom call going for 5 hours, then that could easily rack up like hundreds of thousands of dollars within a matter of hours. And I mean, what's anyone going to do about it? No one's going to be able to do anything about it. On paper, there was a service provided at this cost, and it was delivered. So there's the payment, right? It seems pretty obvious what's going on. Another super sketchy thing about this website, which again offers, help to people. There's no like transparent way to look at the reviews on here. So it claims that there's over 3,000 5-star reviews for Vincent Oshana. It says he has a 5.0 average and over 8,000 consultations. But to my knowledge, there's no actual way to read all of the reviews, all of the over 3,000. Only showing up here like 8 or 10 of the, I guess, most recent ones. But there's no way to actually look through all of these reviews or in any way verify if they're even legit at all. Like these could easily just be bots or the PBD company itself making the reviews or deleting any potential negative ones. Speaking of negative ones, I saw that Anna did get her first negative one. As you guys know, obviously Anna Kasparian is on Minnect, which is part of the reason why it's so funny that recently John Iadarola and J.R. Jackson of TYT went after and kind of exposed and also roasted Minnect on the damage report, which we covered. And obviously same with Sam and Emma, they didn't bring her up specifically, but obviously that's the elephant in the room, which is that Anna Kasparian can be found on this website along all the people that we're talking with. And she actually did get her first negative review, Zach. I've been paying attention to this from Ferris Ziadat. He says, you should have done a simple Google search to see that I was saying is actually happening and not assume I was lying to you. So apparently Anna called this person a liar. She was getting paid like hundreds of dollars to chat with this dude, and she was just like, you fucking liar. Obviously I don't know the context of this, but I did think that was pretty funny because you almost never see negative reviews. They seemingly just never get posted or they immediately get scrubbed. This one hasn't been scrubbed yet.
Yeah, and I would have assumed that they were all fake, that it was all bots, but it does look like Anna only has 24 reviews, and that would seem kind of on par, right? Vinny's on the main show. He's a fan favorite because he gets so worked up. He's a real hothead, and it's like, okay, Anna Kasparian, okay, you've done 142 consultations. One of them was negative. Yeah, but she's making a ton of money. What did we find out that the minimum that Anna Kasparian's making?
Hers was significantly lower. It was only 15 a minute.
Yeah, so 15 times 15. I remember chat made fun of me because I accidentally added extra. Yeah, accidentally added an extra zero. It's only $225 to do a video call with Anna Kasparian. That's actually pretty cheap by comparison. And you figure she's made, 225 minimum times how many calls has she done? Does it say up there 142?
142, yeah.
So we know she's made at least $31,950 from Minnect. Not bad. Not
that
bad.
adds up even with the lower price. And again, that's assuming that each of those was at the minimum, right?
Yep.
They could have gone on for 2 hours. Who knows at what point Anna hangs up on these people, after the conversation really starts drawing on. But, if you're making what did it say, $15 a minute, then
Yep.
I mean, it's a lot easier to listen to someone drone on at you, I guess. But either way, it's a weird, shady business. It's a weird scammy operation. It's good to see some people finally noticing this, paying attention to it, because obviously it's not shocking that people like PBD are on here. But when Anna Kasparian made the jump, I was like, damn, that's a serious blow to your credibility. I still believe that it's only a matter of time before Cenk Uygur himself pops up on the leaderboard. I'm kind of surprised he's not on there already. Maybe he's a little bit salty about that because, yeah, he's nowhere to be found. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think there might be a few more minutes left of this majority report. I'm not 100% sure, but do you want to find out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And one more thing I wanted to shout out. We went on a little bit of a rant about Sammy the Bull and how it was crazy that this former mobster was also on Minnect. Like, they have absolutely no standards for anyone at all. And turns out the godson and great nephew of Sammy the Bull, Gavin, listens to the Vanguard, and he wanted to send a shout out back saying that Sammy the Bull is a rat bastard. He didn't show up to his sister's funeral, who was this guy's grandmother, and the entire family hates him because he's a psychopath, and that, nobody.
Wait, seriously?
That's what he said. Obviously, I don't have it.
You?
Yeah, he sent it over Patreon. I'll show it to you later.
What?
Yeah, he sent us a Patreon message, which means he's also a patron. But yeah, he sent me his real last name, and he was like, yeah, this is my great uncle, and our entire family fucking hates him, and he is a bastard. And I was like, that's crazy.
Damn.
Small world.
That is insane. Shout out to, what'd you say his name was? Do you remember? Or does he want it to be public? Either way, shout out to that individual.
I remember he said his name because he like said what his last name was. And I remember looking at that and being like, you are for sure Italian. You are for sure Italian with that last name. But I can't remember it. I know he said that he was the godson and great nephew, and that his grandma was the sister of Sammy the Bull.
So his last name wasn't the Bull, also.
Unfortunately not.
Either way, I think there might be a little bit more of this. Again, I'm not really sure, but shout out to Sam and Emma for covering this. Obviously, once again, shout out to John Iadarola and JR Jackson for having the balls to touch this, because I imagine that definitely would have created some awkwardness behind the scenes with them and Anna. Although it still isn't 100% clear that John Iadarola even knew that Anna was on there. JR Jackson seemed downright aware. John Iadarola, there's like a 50% chance he was ignorant to that fact, which is pretty hilarious in and of itself.
I think he was probably giving himself plausible deniability, whereas like I don't think he ran it by JR, and so JR is like, bro, like we know somebody who works on this. Like I because I wouldn't be surprised if JR Jackson seen our clips before.
Let's hope. Big fan of JR Jackson.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious if he's a secret Vanguard enjoyer. But yeah, let's take in a couple more seconds of this while we wait for our special guest to arrive, who should be here in a matter of minutes, right?
Yeah, about 5 minutes, I think.
Sweet.
But connect.
I'll consult for you.
If you need the worst business advice ever,
Yeah.
I honestly want
to
to
give it to your workers.
I want to meet the people who've done the $800 a minute to with a minimum of 15 minutes.
Do you think that they even say anything, or they just put the phone on speakerphone and walk around the room for a half hour?
That's what I was
Well,
wondering.
The real question is like, wait, am I going to pay for the minute or minute and a half or 2 minutes that it takes me to ask my question? Like, don't I need to give you
Right.
some context?
Yes, my time is valuable.
No.
Unless you called up and asked what do you like better? Cheeseburgers or hamburgers?
You're like, Patrick, I got caught cheating on my wife. Here's what you need to do. You need to let her roast you. You go down the American Legion, you rent the hall out for the night, you let her roast you in front of everybody.
I'm going to give you the same suggestion I gave to Israel. I gave this country to be this advice to Bibi Netanyahu, and he didn't follow it.
He didn't
and now you
follow
see
No,
Israel.
I
in
assume he
trouble.
saw it. I mean, I don't know. I didn't say it directly to him, but
Yeah.
he watches. He
But-
watches because he pays me.
Right. His number 2 has a Minnect call with me coming up where he has a really pertinent question. We'll be on the line for an hour. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if I want to do what's her face girl. Is that
You
what?
can't do it right now.
I don't know if I can.
We did it Friday, I think, right?
You know, it
There's
would,
new
you know,
developments
Gavin, we
on
could
this.
get into, you know, drawing inspiration from the man himself. You know, if we start to really put our backs into it, you think you could be Vinny, I could be PBD. We start doing half off sales, Black Friday. You know, only $400 a minute, and you only have to confirm for 10 minutes. You know, no matter what question he asks, you tell him what your order is at McDonald's in your best Vinny Oshana. You know, I'll take a stab with, you know, PBD when I go through the drive-through and I get a hamburger, you know, and I want to get, I love America because when I come to America, I discover a love for hamburgers, right? But I don't ever get it with cheese, right? I never get it with cheese. This is because I share a kinship with Israel.
Yeah, pretty funny stuff. PBD continues to be a real lolcow for us internet commentators. And yeah, I just can't believe that Anna Kasparian joined that network. Like, it's just so fucking cringe. Out of all the places she could have gone, she went to the most obvious fucking scammer to hang out on a panel with fucking Lindy Lee and what's her name, Amy Dangerfield.
Amy Dangerfield.
It's
yeah.
like, oh my god, it's just literally the most embarrassing thing you could possibly imagine. And from what I saw last, I don't think the Her Take show is like, you know, it's doing fine, it's chugging along, but it's not exactly like, you know, it's not exactly doing impressive numbers considering the fact that Anna Kasparian sacrificed so much of her credibility and reputation to appear alongside these grifters and ghouls. I mean, getting like 4.1 thousand views from clips. This one only has 1.4 thousand. Like none of these clips are even cracking 10K, and they're all from the most recent episode. They all prominently feature Anna in the thumbnail. But yeah, it doesn't really seem to be catching on. This new episode, I guess, just premiered 4 hours ago. And I mean, that's less views than a Vanguard stream gets. Like usually after we wrap, our stream has anywhere from like 6 to maybe 12K.
Sometimes like
views.
18.
Sometimes 18 on a good day. But yeah, it's just like it's such a cringy thing for Anna to have done. For seemingly not that much extra relevance or popularity. She definitely got a pop when the Jillian Michaels thing went down. That definitely went viral, and I was like, oh shit, maybe this will blow the show up. But in lieu of that kind of drama, it's like no one really gives a fuck about Anna Kasparian's thoughts and Lindy Lee's thoughts on these right-wing pet issues and grievances.
Yeah, can you sort by popular? Let's just see it. What are the highs? All of them feature Jillian Michaels prominently. All of them feature Jillian Michaels prominently. That's what I was wondering about. I think that when they lost Jillian Michaels, the kind of people that they were looking for liked Jillian. She was a charismatic host. I disagreed with almost everything that came out of her mouth, but she had two things that MAGA brain folks like. She was charismatic, and they'd seen her on reality television for over a decade, so they had a familiarity with her. So I think that they're going to continue to struggle in her absence. And I think that we identified it immediately on the pilot episode of Her Take when we reviewed it. Like, she was the one that needed to be the host. They made her the host, and then she got all pissed off over Israel and decided to be a crybaby and quit. But alas, it's been all downhill ever since for the Her Take folks.
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting that all the most, you know, popular episodes were the ones with Jillian Michaels. When the show was still in its infancy 6 months ago, it had just launched. Now it actually has 73,000 subscribers. I mean, you'd think it'd be getting more views. The fact that it's actually waned in relevance despite that is pretty crazy. And a lot of people pointed out that, like, oh, after Jillian left, it seems like the show got a lot less spicy. They fought less, they argue less now. And some people were glad about that, but that also might be why the ratings are down, because this is supposed to be like the right-wing version of The View or whatever. And you do need some of that spiciness, some of that kind of catfight vibe to keep it entertaining. So that's some interesting stuff. We'll keep an eye on the Her Take show and maybe react to some clips from the most recent episode the next time we go live.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.